So we actually closed above $25,200 support and flipped it into resistance, and I'm excited. And the current crypto cap, including Bitcoin, is currently at about $1.13 trillion. So yay. And of course, open interest in Bitcoin futures hits yearly high of $12 billion, which makes sense because we have some positive price action. So the dollar value locked in the number of open Bitcoin future contracts is on the rise. Coinglass data shows a nominal value of open interest has reached a yearly high of 12 billion, and that's a 7% gain this month, which again, makes sense. Positive price action. Increase in open interest means new money is flowing into the market, but doesn't reveal whether traders are positioning for gains or losses. For that, you can actually check. There's a liquidation website you can check. I forget what the name of it is offhand, but it'll show you who is getting wrecked. But anyways, for Bitcoin, new money seems to be getting in on gains considering the funding rate or the cost of holding bullish, long, bearish, short positions has flipped into green after spending most of the early parts of the Asia trading day in the red. And positive funding rates usually indicate a bullish trend as long as positions compensate short positions. I know that is a mouthful, but I'm excited about Bitcoin price. Is everybody else excited? Is Bitcoin going to $1 million? What's going on, Will? I see you smiling here.
I just love the trade action here this morning. And Bitcoin might go to $1 million one day. We'll talk about that later with Balaji. There's some interesting notes for this morning. So Bitcoin's at its highest level in the last 9 months, highest trading volume since FTX collapsed, and the highest BTC ETH ratio since July of 2022. So just going through those numbers a little bit quickly here. It's weird to see Bitcoin go up so much in the midst of like this banking crisis we're seeing unfolding, in the midst of crypto also just being in the grips of winter. We're seeing Bitcoin pop back up. We're also seeing trading volume climb back up. FTX was a huge exchange. A lot of people seem to forget that in the midst of all of this collapse and contagion going on. FTX was a great spot to trade Bitcoin. And since it disappeared off the face of the earth, a lot of people have been looking for other venues to trade Bitcoin. And a lot of people who were trading Bitcoin are no longer trading Bitcoin. But we are seeing trading volumes pop back up for the first time since November when FTX went under. For the last point, the BTC ETH ratio, definitely something to keep an eye on. I know that traders like Wendy like to watch that ratio. Basically, it's an argument like, do I want to hold money in Bitcoin or do I want to hold it in altcoins? Right now, Bitcoin is really leading the pack, as it is against equities in the traditional market, right? Bitcoin is actually doing better than everything else out there right now, which is weird, and also feeding to this narrative that we've wanted for so long, right? We've wanted Bitcoin to be different, to decouple, as Zach put it last week, decouple from equities, decouple from the bond market. And we're seeing that for the first time. It's very odd. You know, we've had a lot of moments for Bitcoin to shine over the last 3 years, during a pandemic, during a lot of financial crises. They have it during a banking crisis, Bitcoin sort of breaking out. Zach, I want to throw it over to you, get your thoughts on this.
It's wild. Bitcoin. It's in the news. It is seen as an alternative to these banking collapses. Whether that's real or not, still TBD, right? Are people really self-custodying their Bitcoin? Are they really stashing the Bitcoins in the mattress as a safety valve toward future bank collapses? I don't know, but the mood is there, and potentially also there's the possibility of quantitative easing coming back into the fold in the US and elsewhere, right? Where the money printer turns back on, people are more amenable to putting some of their funds in riskier assets. And therefore, people, Balaji included, we'll get to that in a second, are seeing the sky's the limit for Bitcoin's price and potentially accelerating even more greatly towards the end of this year. So it is fascinating to watch. Bitcoin, I think, had been sort of a bit quiet of late. And now here it is, just rip-roaring in the headlines. All sorts of activity in terms of futures interest, in terms of price action, all sorts of stuff around the orange coin. Pretty wild to see. Will, saw your hand. I'm tossing it your way.
Yeah, I wanted to bring up some more data. So Kaiko is a great research firm out there that I encourage everyone to go take a look at their stuff. Not an ad at all, because it's just real good stuff out there. And they track market depth. Market depth is basically an understanding of how much Bitcoin can I trade for USD values on the open markets out there. And one thing that's really interesting is that since November, we've seen about half the market depth we had before FTX collapsed. Right now, that market depth is climbing up a little bit, with more people coming back into the fold and willing to trade, and these markets becoming more liquid. But at the same time, we have about half the depth that we did in November. So what does that really mean for price action? Well, it means that if there's not a lot of liquidity, the markets are actually pretty thin, and we're going to see more volatility to the upside and to the downside. So if I'm looking at this right now, like I do think that there is a little bit of that where there's not a lot of places to trade. When you buy Bitcoin somewhere, it's going to increase or decrease prices more than you would think on a normal day because there's not a lot of people buying at a given time. So you're going to see more volatility. Wendy, I'll throw it over to you to get your thoughts on that. That's one thing I'm looking at as being like, okay, it might be a little better than it seems at this moment.
Well, it kind of depends. There's a lot of important information. Like it's like we need to know what people are doing with their Bitcoin. Are they actually trading it? Are they putting it onto cold storage? Are they leaving it on exchanges? What exchanges they're using? So there's a lot of data that we still need to know. But I'm just very excited to be in the moment, to be in the absolute moment and watch this happen, especially while we have this banking crisis happen in the USA. I mean, when I'm seeing all this predatory stuff happen with the banks and then see Bitcoin absolutely melt faces, that's exciting for me because I think that that's the true intent and purpose of Bitcoin. It could be a silent protest for some people. It could be a way for them to kind of take back their freedom, take back their liberty. And you don't just have to trade Bitcoin to participate in the economy. Bitcoin could be whatever it is you want it to be, including Bitcoin ordinals. Zach.
Ordinals. So we didn't even talk about ordinals. That was the original Kickstarter of this buzz. And then all this macro stuff happened. And it was like ordinals plus like banking failure equals Bitcoin through the roof. Pretty crazy. Anyway, it is wild to see. It is wild to see at a time when there are still some lingering fears that cashing out some of these crypto assets into dollars, specifically in the US, may be increasingly under threat. So that is something to toss on the table as a potential downside. Wendy, I got to give you the last word.
Really quickly, if you're trading altcoins, there's euphoria in the market. Please have a trading or investing plan. You do not want to get caught holding the bag, and you should not be tracing green candles. Not financial advice, just my opinion. And also, too, the liquidation website was in fact Coinglass. I'm a little bit under the weather, so I've got that cold head over here. But Zach, tell us what's going on next, please.
I will. We still need to do the don't go chasing waterfalls, don't go chasing green candles, TLC homage one day.